Motivation is crap. I know what you're thinking. Keith, we've just done, what, 20 some episodes of this podcast, and here you are coming on this podcast and telling us that motivation is crap. Yes. Yes, I am. And the reason I say that is because in life, motivation will only get you so far. I believe that motivation is a building block to success. The reason I say that is because you're not always going to be motivated. You're not always going to feel like doing something. You won't always be motivated. And that is why I believe that in life, when it comes to a goal or going after something, you need more than motivation. You need discipline, you need passion, you need a drive, the will to be able to do it. There's different building blocks to achieving a goal that is required in order to reach that goal. Here we are, almost the end of August. Pretty soon it will be a year that a year ago I was in my worst place mentally. Last year was a shit year for me. And I really started to think about motivation because, last year when I started losing weight, I had just gone back out on my own. I got an apartment and I was not motivated at all when I really sit there and think about it. Um, yeah, I knew I wanted to make a change in my life. I knew that change was coming in my life regardless, but I was also sick of the person that I was looking at in the mirror. When I say that, I wanted to make a physical change. Obviously, there was other areas of my life I wanted to work on, but initially I wanted to lose weight, and that was something that I have struggled with my entire life, really. Since I was probably a teenager, really, that I have struggled with my weight. There's been periods of my life where I've lost significant amounts of weight, and I've gained it back. Some of it has been due to surgery, some of it due to injuries. Powerlifting, I purposely gained weight to be able to compete in different weight classes. But I've reached a point in my life where I'm like, I want more. I want to be at a good weight. And to be honest, I believe that over the course of the last 11 months, yeah, I've been motivated, but mostly I've just been driven. I've been passionate about it. It's something that I want. Eric Thompson, he's a big motivational speaker. I listen to him all the time on YouTube. He has a speech that talks about, you know, you have to want something as bad as you want to breathe. And that really, I feel that we can all relate to that because we all need air, we all need oxygen. And have you ever wanted something so bad, as bad as you want to breathe? That to me, that's deep. That really means a lot. And I've asked myself that over the course of the last 11 months. I'm successfully down from this time last year, I was probably 205 pounds. Right now, sitting here today, I weigh 150 pounds. I'm still working towards losing weight, but I've had to adjust what I'm doing. And also, it hasn't been just about the weight loss, but also how it felt mentally. And that's crucial to it because I've realized that, yes, I can lose all this weight, but mentally, I need to be in a good place too. Means if I'm losing weight, but also I'm in a shit place mentally, am I really happy? At the end of the day, my happiness is what really matters. Obviously, I know where I want to be with my physical aspect, but also I need to worry about my mental aspect. And I realize that completely grinding myself into the ground is not where I want to be mentally. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the grind, I love the chase, I love pushing myself, but also I don't want to do it to the point that I start to question why I'm doing it. Because once you do that, you start to lose sight of that purpose. So that's why I'm saying motivation is crap. You got to be disciplined. When you're chasing after a goal, you have to do it day in and day out if you really want something. You know, I've done this for yesterday was day 330. So that means every single day I have gotten up and I have lifted, I've done cardio, I have gotten after it every single day. It's to the point now where I don't even question it. I just do it. And that has come from the discipline of doing it no matter what, showing up. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. It doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter if I'm hurt. It doesn't how I feel mentally. It doesn't matter if I'm with a girl. It doesn't matter. I'm fucking getting up and I'm getting after it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I have to go at 10 o'clock at night. I'm going and getting after it. And that is where I'm at. But that has also taken me doing it over and over and understanding and not allowing myself to budge any, that this is what you're here to do. You're going to do it. And that's what I've continued to do for the last 330 days. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been lifting since I was 18, but also I haven't done it every single day like I've done it for the last 330 days. And I've just really thought about that of like, well, how have I shown up? What has what has been the key to my success? Why have I been able to do that? And because I just really started to think about that, because I'm like, it hasn't been easy. And that's what it comes down to, is I just want it so bad. I want it no matter what. I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to quit on myself. And I look at is if I take a day off, I quit on myself. And don't get me wrong, I've gained weight over the last 330 days. I've lost weight. It's been really frustrating. I work in a fucking sub shop as a part-time job. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard. It's hard going in there and working, especially on a Friday night or Saturday. Because what do you do when you're bored? You eat. That's what a lot of people do. And I love food. So that has been a struggle for me. That's something that I'm still mentally fighting. I'm battling that. But I've continued to stay on that grind and to stay on my journey, because at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want it as bad as I can breathe. Because you know what? When I look in the mirror, I'm sick of what I'm seeing. I'm sick of the man that I see, and I want a change. I know that I am capable of more, and that's what I'm chasing after. Especially being in a chair and having a broken back. I sit like, I kind of slouch, and it doesn't look good when I look in the mirror, and I'm not happy with that. I'm like, what are we willing to do to change that? I am coming into, let's see, today is Thursday, so I am 2 days out from my first 5K, which 5K really is nothing for me. I've biked 34 miles before. 5K, that's like, I think it's just over 3 miles. It really is nothing for me. But it has fueled me to want to take on a new challenge. Why not go after a marathon? This time last year, I was going into planning on doing the Erie Marathon, but life kind of turned upside down, and I said now is not the time. Mentally, I was not in a place to be trying to compete at doing something like that. Shit, I wasn't even getting on a bike at that point. So last year was not for me, but this year I'm really considering signing myself up for a marathon. There's one in September. I'm going to do this 5K, and I have another 5K scheduled in mid-August. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, I was the last 2 weeks, I biked every day. I was doing 2 a days. I was averaging between 6 and 8 miles a day. The one week I did 50 miles in, like, I think it was 4 or 5 days. And what really got to me, though, is when I looked at my times. This is when I know that it really started to get serious for me, where I really started to care about it. Was I no longer cared about my overall mileage. I was worried about my time. I was worried about how fast I was getting done with that 3.5 miles, how fast I was doing those 5 miles. And then it really dawned on me whenever I looked at my per mile. I cracked a 5 minute mile, which for me on my hand bike, it's pretty fast. It's pretty good. That's probably my best time. The bike weighs upwards of 50 pounds. It's not easy. The shit is heavy. And I'm pulling myself. I'm not like, like a regular bike. You can stand up on it and really crank. With that bike, you're pulling yourself. So it sucks. You let off you stop cranking, and it just basically slows down. So it's not easy to do, and it takes a lot of work. But I realized I broke into a 5 minute mile. I broke under the 6 minute mile mark, and I'm like, damn, dude, like you're getting really good with this. You get really fast. And I noticed that my cardio has consistently got more. I've been more consistent with it, and I've been able to do it day in and day out, and it doesn't affect me. I rode almost 22 miles last weekend, and I felt fine. I got off the bike, I felt fine. I lifted that morning, I got up, and I did, I think, almost 8 miles, and I felt fine. And I'm like, dude, you have reached a point now where when I was in college, I was doing 30 miles a day. And even where I'm at now, I feel better than I was. What? Let's see, I'm 35. I had to think about there for a second. I feel better than I did 16 years ago. 16 years ago, I was like, let's see, I was like 19, 20 years old when I was doing that amount of mileage. But I've reached a point now where I'm like, let's see how far we can push ourselves. Let's see how far I can push my boundaries. Let's find that limit. Get on the bike and freaking crank, man. Or, I'm going to be doing a powerlifting meet. I haven't decided which meet yet, but this year has been the year that I'm like, we are going all in. I'm going after it. And, so I'm really considering, I'm even looking at possibly getting another bike. I'm looking for something that is more built around performance. The bike that I currently have, I've dumped that bike more times than I can count growing up, making turns too fast, putting it on two wheels, it ends bad. So I'm looking at a new bike. Like that's where I'm at mentally, that I'm like, no, dude, I really want to do this. Like, but I have realized it has been literally me building over the last 330 days of building a new me and building up my cardio and losing weight and building my strength and building my stamina, that I am developing into a different person, a person that wants more, that wants to chase more. And really, it hasn't been motivation, it's been drive. I've been driven. I'm a self driven individual. And because the reason I say that is because most of the time when I do my workouts is 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to get up just like anybody else that time in the morning. Especially lately, I've been sleeping like shit. And for some reason, I'm waking up a lot through the middle of the night. So I'm only averaging some nights probably 2 and 3 hours of sleep. But that alarm goes off, and I'm like, it is grind time, baby. And I get up and I go. But it's because I want it so freaking bad. I want that change. I want to see somebody else in the mirror. And that has come down to me just taking action and going all in on myself, devoting 100% of my energy to myself, to my well being, to be able to build a new person. And really, ultimately, that started by an idea. That's all that was. One day I got an idea and I'm like, what if? What if I did this? And here we are, 331 days in. Here we are. I made a commitment to myself 331 days ago that I would not quit, that I would do 365 days of nonstop going to the gym every single day. And that's what I've done. That is what I've done. And I'm so proud of myself. I make a lot of motivational videos, and like honestly, it's just a lot of videos of me just working out and stuff. But ultimately, I know people watch those and they probably think they're like, oh, he's posting these because, he thinks it's cool, whatever. Honestly, I post that shit because I want to look back on it someday. Honestly, that shit amps me up so bad some days that like I look at something that I did 6 months ago and I make a video about it. That drives me so bad because I remember that snowstorm that I drove to the gym, or I had to wheel through the snow to get to the gym, or that day that I had to get on my bike and it was pouring down rain and it was freezing. And no matter what, I said, I'm still going after it. I'm still getting after it. I'm still getting out there and getting after it. So that has been just building a discipline, and that passion, a little bit of motivation, but mostly just drive and the will to make that change. That is why I say motivation is crap. Yes, it is a building block to succeeding, but ultimately, motivation is just a building block. It's not everything. You're not always going to be motivated. You're not always going to want to get up and get after it. That is why all those other things are important. If you want something in life, you got to go after it because you're not always going to be motivated. How bad do you want it? As bad as you want to breathe? How bad do you want it? Adapt, overcome, and conquer. Get out there and get after it.